Hey up, how's it all going? If you're new here, if we've not met before, my name's Craig. I run the Coffee with Craig O channel. I've not got coffee today, I've got Lemsip because I'm still feeling under the weather. In fact, today I'm a little bit worse, but I wanted to do this live Q&A. I've had so many questions. I cannot believe how quickly this channel has just gained a bit of momentum. I always had the intention of like replying to everybody's questions and replying to everybody's comments and what have you, and I just haven't been able to have over 1,000 comments, some of them so in depth. What it does do though, it just explains to me, it just reminds me that there's such a need, sorry about the plane going over at the minute, such a need for a bit of a support or community or something for blokes like us that just feel a little bit lost or flat, perhaps. You know, you've had a little problems with chronic fatigue, or you kind of lost your way, or you're you're retiring, whatever it is. You've had a change in circumstances. There's just been so many different comments and stories from you guys that, I just, whatever it is, we just need a group, a community or whatever, to support that, and that's what the aim of this is. I have got a long-term strategy for this channel, which I'm going to share to you over the next coming weeks. I've got a short-term thing as well, with a couple of things that I've got in the pipeline so that we can start working together and helping each other. Because, you know, I need as much help as anybody at times. This channel was spawned because I felt lost. I felt lost for years and years. I've had a couple of different like disruptions in my life, let's say that. A couple of different identity changes and that kind of thing. And increasingly, it's become less and less of a man's world. As simple as that. I'm not a beat your chest or ego, bloody macho bloke, but I am an alpha male. Like I'm not like a feminine male, if you like. I suppose I'm trying to talk without upsetting anybody, but basically I'm just a bloke. I'm just a bloke with a bloke sense of humour. I like doing bloke stuff. I love going down the pub and having a pint with my mates. I love sitting on my own here in my office, and I love walking my dog. And I just love blokey stuff. I love riding my quad, doing the gardening and all that kind of stuff. So and I know there's a lot of people out there that are exactly the same, but more and more, some of these things are frowned upon. One of the best examples there is banter, male banter, this thing that we use as like a bit of a coping mechanism. When we are down the pub, or we're on the golf course, or in the changing rooms of the rugby club or whatever. Banter's, it's a coping mechanism. It's our hug. It's our 2-hour phone call with your mate or whatever. It's just one of the tools that we use to get through life, and it gets frowned upon a lot. So that's just one example. Anyway, I picked out a few comments and for no real reason, and I'm going to run through those comments whilst I'm sipping my Lemsip. I would love to have a coffee. I wouldn't have a coffee this late in the day, but I'm going to have my Lemsip. Beautiful scenery outside my my little office here, and then what I want to do is, I just want to walk around a little bit and show you some of the places some people have asked. But also, in doing that, I can kind of show you what some of my long-term plans are for this channel and you guys and anybody that's struggling out there. Right, okay, so by the way, I've got some goats, and the door's open, and they're just showing a bit of an interest in the cardboard box down there. So if they start eating that, I'll get up and I'll have to move the goats away. Eric, he's called Eric the Bastard because he is a bastard as well. Right, okay, first comment then from Toby Ludlow on YouTube. I've just turned 47 and had chronic fatigue for over 2 years now. It's really depressing. I'm still active every day but constantly tired. Would love to hear more about how you got your health back. Well, a lot like you, Toby, the chronic fatigue for me, it started... no, I need to get rid of this goat. Come with me, let's get rid of this freaking thing here. You'll be able to see. Eric, go on, bugger it, look, he's nicked a bit of paper. Little shite. It's my dog, Dotty. Sorry about that. Anyway, don't get disturbed now. Yeah, chronic fatigue for me, it started in and around the time of COVID and the vaccine and that kind of stuff, whether it's related. I've got my own thoughts, medical world, never really admitted to it. Anyway, it became completely crippling for me. I got to the point where I started, I'm just grabbing this little notebook here. Should have been a bit better prepared. And I started tracking my symptoms because it went from like every couple of months I'd get these chronic fatigue feelings, like the malaise is a word that's often used. It's just a general feeling of unease and not being well. You couldn't really put your finger on it, you know. And I was like, I just don't know what's wrong. I don't know what's wrong. And to the point where if someone turned around and says, you've got colon cancer, I'd be like, right, okay, that explains it. I didn't have colon cancer. Or if someone said, all right, you've got a heart murmur, I'd be like, right, I get it now. But I haven't got a heart murmur, you know. It was just all, you know, I had all these symptoms and there was no explanation for it. And then it gradually got worse and worse. And I tried cracking on. You know, I had some races planned, different places around the world, and went on them and really crashed on some of those, and then I got the symptoms and the relapses, as I call it, became more and more common, to the point where I'd wake up in the morning, and then if I had a conversation or a phone call that was just a little bit too heavy or whatever, I'd be wiped out, and you could physically see me go downhill over the space of like 10-15 minutes, and I'd just be like, and I'm having conversations with my wife saying, I think I'm going to have to go on to benefits or something like that, because I can't see me ever working again like this, or doing any fit. I never thought I'd step in the gym again. I thought I'd never lift weights or do a run again. It become absolutely, you know, I don't know the word, it's like devastating really, like just complete shift in my identity. Everything about me, being an ex-Marine, ultra runner, fitness professional, you know, business owner, all these things that I've taken pride in being, I was losing. I was losing those identity. And in fact, it had gone to the point where I couldn't even like enjoy Christmas. I couldn't do anything because I was getting relapses a couple of times a day, and I was just wiped out. Every day I would be sleeping, couldn't get out of bed, and it was just horrendous. Now, there's a load of stuff that I did. If I look back and boil it all down, and I want to really put this into a couple of videos to explain this. I started off, and somebody sent me a link to like a video on Rumble, not YouTube, on Rumble, talking about detoxing from the spike protein of the vaccine. And I didn't think a great deal of it at the time. And it was basically 3 or 4 different supplements that you can freely get off Amazon. Take those supplements and start, you know, get the spike protein out of your body. Now, I don't know if that was the main thing, but apart from that, and learning to manage my energy levels, things changed, right? So, and I can share those. Anybody that wants those, you know, that spike protein protocol or whatever, let me know and I'll send it you. I don't want to share it publicly on YouTube because YouTube doesn't like it, all right? But but that's that. I also did a load of like self-exploration. I checked my testosterone levels, Lyme's disease a load of times, blood work done a load of times. I checked for diabetes, blood sugar problems, heart-related issues. I spent a load of money and a lot of time and effort just doing loads of tests to try and work out exactly what was wrong, to find something. Now, everything came back fine. The only thing I was slightly down on was vitamin D, and in everybody. So I take a double dose of vitamin D every day as well now. But everything was fine. And I used to go to the doctors quite regularly and say, look, you know, I can't get through life and I need some help. And I need referring to like a chronic fatigue clinic or something like that. They wouldn't do it. They dragged their heels. They started talking about ME and, you know, the fact that it might be ME, but basically said the way that you get diagnosed with ME is you rule everything else out first, and then you get a diagnosis of ME. Anyway, this went on, and eventually I became very good at managing my energy levels, recognizing the symptoms. Symptoms for me are, I started to get pins and needles in my face, start to get, you know, the start of fatigue and energy levels. My throat would tighten up. you know, and then I knew that a relapse was coming, and then I could just wind things back. Itchy, you know, I started getting itchy eyes and symptoms of like allergies, but I've never had allergies in my life. I've got any allergies at all until I started getting these chronic fatigue and what have you. And you know, I got really bad hay fever, just a ton of different allergies and stuff. Now, since I've done the spike detox and learned to manage my energy levels, all those things got better. In fact, I've not had any hay fever at all this year, which is, you know, mad compared to the other years. There was other times when I was literally sat in the bottom of the shower, spraying water into my face because my eyes were that bad, you know, with hay fever, and I'd never had it before, never. Other symptoms were my back teeth just crumbled, just fell to bits over the space of like a week. My hearing went, which actually I think is attributed to the Marines and gunfire and explosions and stuff. I've got high frequency hearing loss, so I don't always hear what people. Well, I hear people's vowels, but I don't hear people's consonants. So if someone says book, sometimes if there's a bit of background noise or something like that, it could be. I'm trying to work out what it is. It could be cook, suck, duck, look, you know. It could be all those kinds of things. I just hear the consonants and don't hear the vowels. That's a bit frustrating. And then my eyes completely went, and I was just like struggling to read and see far. My eyes have always been brilliant, right? So that all went. Anyway, so this is a question: how to get your health back? Loads of tests. You've got to do all the tests because you've got to rule everything out, from Lyme's disease and everyone's got an opinion on it. You know, when you start talking about it, people go, "Oh, you want to check this, you want to check that, and you want to check this." And what's the one that there's a certain illness that's like chronic fatigue, something Barr syndrome or whatever you guys might know. I don't know. Got checked for that. Just loads of different stuff. Got MRIs, freaking scans, all this kind of thing. I did all the tests through a thing called the Zoe app, and that tests like, you know, your nutrition, your blood levels, stress levels, all this kind of stuff, and really just, you know, I ruled everything out. That's what it was all about. It was just ruling out, and I'd literally go to the doctors with these big lists of all the results and say, look, I'm fine, but I'm not fine, and you could see that I was just absolutely fooked. And anyway, so that's kind of how I started getting my health back. And I'm just starting to run now. I ran the Great North Run recently, and had a relapse after that because I'd exerted myself in that race. So I am doing bits of training. I've got so many aspirations to do challenges and things that I'm not giving in. And part of this channel, part of these videos is just finding a tribe. You know, men need a tribe. We don't often talk about it. We might not say we need a tribe, but you need sounding boards, and you need people to kind of, you know, give you that little nod or that little thumbs up and what have you. You know, even a conversation sometimes, you know, just to help. Blokes need it. As much as, you know, I love I'm at the bottom of the garden now, down here. I look out over the sheep, you know, my dog's there. I'm on my own, and I love it. I love time on my own. That's how I recharge. But we still need people around us and, you know, good friends and stuff like that. And some people haven't got that. Especially if you run your own business and, you know, or you're retired or whatever, because you're just at different points in your life than other people. So that's that. Anyway, that's the first question. I suppose the answer is I will be sharing loads of different stuff about how I got health back and my fitness back and all this kind of stuff. There's a load of noise going on. I'm just going to show you something. One of my long-term aspirations for this channel is to run men's retreats, right? At the minute, you'll just see over here, my wife runs retreats. I'm just going to spin this round. So they are lighting a fire to do fire walking, right? Fire walking, arrow breaking, board breaking, you know, all that kind of stuff, empowerment stuff. When I do the men's retreats, by the way, if that's something you might be interested in, let me know. Excuse me. Fire walking will be part of it, you know, and bits of coaching and that kind of stuff as well. So But I just wanted to share that because there's a lot of noise going on outside and we're just getting sorted. Right, John Morpheus, 120. Another one on chronic fatigue. Chronic fatigue wiped me out and I didn't know what I was fighting. I'm interested in the next steps you took to get through it. So it's similar, similar to the last one, really. It's incredible how many people have got chronic fatigue. And who knows, for me, although I attribute it to the schmack right? You can read between read between the lines there because obviously YouTube don't like it. I did experience chronic fatigue symptoms when I was younger. I remember at my brother's wedding, I came down with this illness that I could not put my finger on. And I was in bed all day and I was supposed to be at my brother's wedding. I remember it. And when I look back, exactly the same sort of symptoms and what have you. So I think I've always had something underlying. And then the old schmack whatever, Maxine, I'm going to call it. I think it brought it out, made it worse. And then it got worse and worse till I was suffering every day. I'd have a relapse. Right, Dundee. Kids, work and keeping a relationship going take all my time and energy. It needs to change to prioritise my mental health. But how? Okay, and obviously the how. This is exactly why I started doing these videos, because when there's so much in that comment there in terms of like priorities, right? We have this idea of like having priorities. Well, the word priority is like the most important thing, and how do you have all these different priorities and then you want to prioritize your mental health as well? Well, you can't. You've got to learn that mental health is the priority. Nothing else will matter unless you get this sorted. And and that's tough because everything's filling up your time and filling up your space. And I have it like now where I've got this cold. And my wife's like, yeah, I've got a cold, I feel rotten today. And my wife's like, yeah, we want to, take it easy today. By the way, you need to cook breakfast, lunch and dinner for the retreat guests tonight. And don't forget we've got fire walking tonight, so can you mow the lawn? And don't forget that the goats need mucking out and all this. And you're like, you just said, like, take it easy. That's not taking it easy, that, Life gets in the way, but we've got to be strict. My wife and her spiritual mates, they often talk about boundaries and personal boundaries and establishing personal boundaries, and I think that's really important, and it's something I definitely need to work on. So I'm going to be talking about that in my field notes over the next few weeks, and I'll probably get other people to come in and share their experience, because I know lots of experts in this kind of world, so I'll get them to share their ideas. But the first thing is, right, Dundee, whatever your name is, whether that's where you live or your surname or whatever. The fact that you're aware that you've got to start taking care of your mental health. So the awareness is the start of everything. So if you're aware, then brilliant. So more to come on that. Right, the silver glow. You convinced me, mate, but my body thinks otherwise. What can I do? So lots of people again just asking, how do they get started? I'm actually coming up with a 14-day challenge, right? It will be a paid challenge because I want this channel to become my full-time thing that I'm doing, I say full-time thing. I run a podcast and a couple of other YouTube channels as well, but I want this to be like the main thing for it. And I can only do that if it's kind of helping pay the bills and that kind of stuff. So it's going to be a paid challenge. I'm thinking about the £79, mark, where, what's that, about $85 or something like that. A 14-day challenge, right? Called the immediate action. So in the military, when something goes wrong, you have the IA, right? You carry out the IA, and when everything's chaotic, you carry out the IA. You just regain control of what's going on. Say your weapon jams, carry out the IA. You come under attack, carry out the IA. You've just got that immediate action that you do. You don't have to think about it. You just bang, you just get it done. And you just regain some control over the situation. So I want to put together this 14-day IA where we're going to do this nutrition and lifestyle check, where we look at your stress levels. Have you got parasites? Are you got too many heavy metals in your body? Is your sleep times, or is your sleep all wrong? Your nutrition times, what you eating? you know, all this kind of stuff, to the point where, like, we look at if you've got mercury fillings, is that affecting you? So we do this assessment. We can then work out what to start with first of all, and then you know what to start with and in what order. Okay, if you know what I mean, to work at. Whilst that's going on, a little bit of accountability where we do some goal setting. We look at your values and your beliefs, because they're incredibly important. If you value your family more than your own mental health, then you'll always look after your family, but your mental health is just getting worse and worse. So, you know, look at your values and just work out your values, and then you can recruit them as an ally instead of an enemy. Plus a lot of other stuff, you know, include a little bit of fitness or movement. If you're not a gym goer, a runner or anything like that, then just a bit of movement is incredibly important over these 14 days. And then at the end of it, bang, you know, you drop out and you should be in a better state. So if that's something that you're keen to get involved in, obviously I'll be there in the trenches with you. We'll have a little bit of an accountability group, a couple of live coaching group calls where we can share some different stuff, what's helped, what's got in the way, you know, hold each other accountable. We just did it together, and that's what this is about. Me too, because I want to kick on again once this cold's gone. So I'm probably going to launch that kicking off 9th of November. So I'm looking at the minute. It's a Sunday. So if you're interested, let me know, and I'll be posting a link pretty soon. So yeah, that's that. Maria. So Maria, I didn't expect any women on this channel, right? But I've got some women, and they are welcome to come along, because, you know, although predominantly I'm going to talk to blokes, I know there's some women out there that the idea of talking to a lot of women about stuff is just not for them. So women are welcome. Maria's put, I'm right there with you. The best days have happened. I'm trying to find something to hold on for. Any suggestions? And isn't that a sad place to be? I'm pretty sure there is stuff to hold on for. I remember my lowest point when I was considering driving into oncoming traffic and unaliving myself, as we say on YouTube, because it doesn't like the S word. I just did this quick scan of, like, why? What's the point? You know, and I thought about my two boys. And I thought about my mum and my family, and that was enough, you know, to stop me. I'll share this story more, you know, when in like coaching calls and stuff like that. But there is stuff there. It's just that when you're in the depths of it all, it's hard to see it. It's hard to appreciate it. Gratitude is massive, you know, and in part of the IA, the 14-day challenge, we'll look at gratitude, and because when you start to look for stuff that you love and that you need to hold on for and work for, you will see it. It's just hard. It's just hard to see it when you're in those tough times. I always say that when you're in the picture, it's hard to see the frame, you know. And so if you can just take a step back and just take an inventory of your life and who's around you and all that kind of thing, then you can start to find these things. So that's that. Right, Ganesh says, I want to work with you, but how will this happen? So like I said, I'm looking at a couple of different virtual stuff. I'm also looking at some men's only canoe and wild camping and bushcraft. Oh, my wife. Right, sorry about that, I got interrupted. Yeah, so some virtual stuff, some bushcraft canoe trips, some ski trips over like a week in Sweden, where you basically ski through this trail in Sweden, stopping off in little wooden cabins every night, doing like little coaching sessions in the night, just being out in the wilderness, and we get to learn some bushcraft skills or revise some bushcraft skills, be with a group of like-minded blokes, you know, we'll sit around the fire, have some cheese and wine, you know what I mean, and just have some good quality time on our own. And I promise you'll discover things about yourself you didn't know, and you'll find direction and find purpose. And if nothing else, you'll just have an amazing time. And I'm also looking at running some men's retreats here, like I said, and I'm gonna have a little walk around in a minute. and show you, so you'll get a bit of a feel for that. So that's what I'm thinking. I may do some like one-on-one coaching. I've done a lot of coaching in my past. I was the resident expert on the Jeremy Kyle show for a long time, doing some coaching with people there. I've coached literally probably tens of thousands of people over like a 13-year history with my former business. So I've done a ton of different coaching. It's not something that I love. However, I'm really, really passionate about us, about men in our stage of life. And the fact that blokes are struggling, that does not sit well with me. And if I can play a part in getting people back on track, living a different life, and stop them from freaking unaliving themselves, then I'm all for it. I'm losing a mate a month on average at the minute from the Marines, you know. And all right, some of them are not like close mates; they might be acquaintances, but one a month, and that is shocking. And that's what's behind this. Like I can't live with that happening. So I need to do something about it, which is what this channel's about. What I've also got is an idea to raise some money to be able to deliver some of these men's retreats for free, or anybody that's affected by male suicide. Right? They can come and get away and have some respite and have some coaching, do some firewalking and freaking all this kind of shit as well, but for free. You know, they can apply and just come and get that respite. And I want to do that by creating challenges and fitness challenges and ultra runs and races under a certain banner in order to do that. So I almost create a non-profit to do that. So loads of plans, and I want to get it going. So loads of ideas to show you, and then stick all the way to the end because I'll show you around a little bit. Damien said, at 52, I've lost motivation and feel anxious and depressed. I'm looking for motivation to get me back to normal. Normal's a funny thing, isn't it? Like, you know, what is normal? And should normal at 5-year-old be the same as normal at 50-year-old? Like, you can expect it to change. We've got to do is adapt our self-image and our beliefs and what have you, to accept where we are. But then also, we don't just roll over a tummy tickle. You know, we design a future that we're really excited about. That's what I want to do. So again, more videos on that. A couple of light-hearted ones then before we have a little wander around. Dan said, don't take this the wrong way, but it's hard to focus on what you're saying with that beautiful English countryside in the background. Nothing like it in the world. And I agree. So this is my office here where I sit and just, you know, and I'm really lucky at these rolling hills. Sometimes it's a bit like Teletubby land, and people love coming here because it's just, you know, you're not miles from anywhere, but you feel like you're miles from anywhere. Even like the Amazon delivery guys can't find us at times, which is brilliant. You know, I love sort of being out. And over there in the distance, you can't. Where will it be? You can't see it. It's over there. That woods over there is where I do like some of the bushcraft sessions and stuff like that as well, which is brilliant. You know, so. Yeah, thanks for that. And then someone else put that view behind you. It's just beautiful, and it's a big part of what I do with the channel is that I just want to create some space in the videos, and I want to create like some vibrant colour and beautiful countryside. Because I want people to watch the video, as silly as it sounds, feel like they're escaping a little bit. You know, they're not cooped up like a crap background and you know, in an office or whatever. It's not what I'm about. I love nature. You know, I love everything about nature and animals and wildlife and being outside and I'm a massive evangelist for getting out in nature. So right, let's have a little wander around then. So like I said, this is my little office. It's a bit of a mess. My dad passed away recently, and I've got a lot of his stuff here, which I'm kind of working through, and you know, and I'm selling some bits, and I'm saving some bits, and all that. But this is my little hideout in here. So let's go and have a little wander around. Like we said, we've got this little ceremony going on in a minute. So it's a bit wacky, but I understand the value of it, the power of it. So we'll have a little look at that. We won't say too much because it's quite an intimate ceremony that they've got going on. They're looking at some of their beliefs and stuff. So the sun's just literally setting over there at the minute. One of our chickens just on the roam and the hills. So we'll have a little wander past. And then we'll go. Ready for their fire walk. Whilst that's going on, we're gonna have a little wander around. It's not always like this though, it's not always like crazy stuff. Well, there is actually always crazy stuff going on. Right, so here we are, front of the house. Got fire pit there, so we'll do some coaching sessions around the fire pit. Not like sit down and go through a load of old trauma and that kind of stuff, but just like find purpose, work out your values, look at your self-identity, challenge your beliefs, you know, all this kind of stuff. It's my quad, I love biffing around on. Get this for a car. Souped up Chelsea tractor, love it. It's part of the accommodation we've got, a little pod there. All the accommodation is quite earthy, apart from there are a few rooms in the house where people will stay on the retreats. We've got a little pod there as well. Love that little pod, it's beautiful inside. It's just enough really, just to escape. Oop. Bit of a mess in a minute, no one in there. Hot tub, little gazebo here. I love this little fire cube thing. You sit around there and just have a good natter and beer, chat about stuff. When people come on the retreats, we've got a whole load of different therapies and stuff, from massage to you name it. You know, if you've got like an area of your body that's you're in a lot of pain or whatever, we've got a pain specialist. From acupuncture to, and you know, whatever you want. There's loads of different therapies. Bird shit all over my windows. What the hell? Got a little yoga studio. They've been in there doing a bit of meditation and that today. That used to be my office, but moved out, got out of the way. Partly wanted a yoga studio, and it's good for the retreats and that as well. And then round the back, we have got. This is where I did some of my first videos. I love this little spot up here. This is the kind of back area. No other houses. You can't see any other houses around here, which is nice. And then we've just built these little, it's like 4 well, not self-contained because they don't have kitchens in there, but they do have showers and toilets in there. There's people staying in there now, otherwise I'd kind of show you in there. There's basically 4 cabins. Now, as well as the retreats where it'll be, you know, you'll be able to come and escape, and there'll be a program for, you know, to follow and join in with things like firewalking, you know, just all sorts of different stuff, more details to follow. These are available all the time. There's been many times over the years where I've just needed to get away, and we talk about like the immediate action and what have you. Sometimes blokes, they just need to bloody recoil into a cave almost, you know. And there's been times where I've looked around for somewhere to just get away, just to be, you know, close to nature, outside, where nobody knows who I am. Nobody's going to talk to me unless I want to talk to them, where I can just sit with my own thoughts, you know, do a bit of work if I want to do a bit of work, you know, because obviously some people want to get away, but they've still got work to do and stuff. But it's all on my terms. I can walk and chat, all right. And these are available all the time, unless there's a retreat going on. So if you are struggling right now and you want to get away, you're more than welcome. You can drop us a message, and and you can book, you know, one of these cabins. And you get access. So once you get the cabin, you get access to all the, you know, the hot tub and all that kind of stuff as well. And I'll be kicking around as well, usually. So, yeah, if you need to get away, we're in Shropshire, in the UK. Obviously, if you're abroad, can't help you with that, I'm afraid. But my overall plan would be to have stuff like this all over the world. So here we go. Here it is. So I wanted to do this Q&A, one, to answer some of your questions, two, just to highlight where I want the channel to go, because obviously this YouTube channel just popped off. Like 2 weeks tomorrow, I launched the channel. It's it's mad how much momentum it's gained in a short period of time. Screaming, but it just shows how important it is. There's a lot of us struggling out there, and together we can stop these lads from just unaliving themselves. And there's no need for people to spend all the time struggling as well. So, right, let's get... Thanks for watching.